That was the alarming message Edward Snowden sent in an encrypted email to a journalist in early 2013. Snowden was a senior government contractor in the US intelligence community, based in Hawaii. On May 20, the 29-year-old left his job at a facility of the National Security Agency and arrived in Hong Kong. He secretly met with reporters in the city on June 6, handing over tens of thousands of classified documents to share with the world.
Congratulations on the scoop. Explain for our viewers why this is important.
It's important because people have understood that the law that this was done under, which is the Patriot Act, enacted in the wake of 9/11, was a law that allowed the government very broad powers to get records about people with a lower level of suspicion than probable cause, the traditional standard.
US government activities that Snowden revealed included mass surveillance on citizens at home and abroad, accessing user data from large tech companies, cyber attacks and hacking operations against other countries, collaborating with security agencies of Australia, Canada and the UK. Snowden showed the US government was conducting mass surveillance on Americans and people around the world. It was collecting data on people's phone calls, emails and internet activity, regardless of whether they were suspected of any wrongdoing. His documents showed companies such as Google, Apple and Facebook gave the US government access to their servers and user data. The leaks also disclosed the US was engaged in offensive cyber operations, including hacking into foreign governments and companies, as well as spying on foreign leaders. Snowden also showed partner agencies in Australia, Canada and the UK cooperated with the US on mass surveillance operations. In short, Snowden revealed what he believed was a fraudulent, dangerous global surveillance apparatus, a system where no one remained unseen.
I think some of the biggest impacts from the Snowden leaks were just raised awareness around security of information and the illusion, if you like, of privacy.
The Snowden leaks sent shockwaves throughout the world. In Hong Kong, where he was then hiding, his fate became the talk of the town. On June 23rd, Snowden left Hong Kong. On his way to South America, he became stranded at Moscow airport because his US passport had been cancelled. Snowden's revelations led to more public awareness and debates around privacy issues in democracies around the world. There was even a new term coined, the Snowden effect.
The Snowden effect is the direct and indirect gains in public knowledge from the cascade of events and further reporting that followed Edward Snowden's leaks of classified information.
So I think the Snowden effect has really made the public and corporates realize that there is an illusion of privacy. So much data is given away in our daily lives and collected by big tech companies. And, we are really the product rather than the consumer. A lot of these free services and applications that we use. And there's a lot of data in the hands of big tech. And of course, that data theoretically could be accessed by governments.
The Snowden leaks fueled debates about the complex relationship between national security and information privacy. Governments boosted their security to guard against future leaks by more tightly securing their internet exchanges and in many instances stepping up their military surveillance. Some may argue that the abuse of power Snowden exposed has only worsened. Even though the US government charged Snowden with espionage and theft of government property, his leaks led to some of the largest reforms in the country's surveillance and data protection law since 1978, when the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act was established. The changes included the USA Freedom Act, which passed in 2015, ending the NSA's dragnet of bulk collection of phone data on Americans who were not under terrorist investigation.
For the first time in 40 years of US history, since the intelligence community was reformed in the 70s, we found that facts have become more persuasive than fear. For the first time in recent history, we found that despite the claims of government, the public made the final decision, and that is a radical change that we should seize on, we should value, and we should push further.
Europe now has the world's strongest privacy and security law, the EU General Data Protection Regulation, which took effect in all member states in 2018.
The most prominent data protection laws are obviously GDPR in Europe, and there's a lot of discussion around how the tightness or the strictness of those laws was influenced by what happened, as a result of the Snowden revelations. And I think, the emergence of GDPR and other data protection laws, not only in Europe and US, but also in our region, you can see throughout our region in the last 5 years, there's almost every jurisdiction has enhanced their data protection laws. And what that means is that companies who collect information have to be much more careful and responsible about what they do with that information, how much data they collect, where they store it, how they secure it, etc. And I think that's a good thing.
Snowden's leaks have also had a huge impact on the tech industry, with the development of new products that address privacy concerns such as encryption services. Nations around the world are now more alert to the possibility that every piece of hardware and software may provide a backdoor for intelligence and law enforcement. A case in point is the banning of Chinese telecoms giant Huawei in the US in May 2019 on suspicion that its systems could be used to collect data for Beijing. Other Western countries, including Canada, Denmark, Portugal, Sweden and the UK, followed suit, banning Huawei from their 5G mobile networks. Huawei has long denied allegations that its technology poses a threat to national security. In May 2023, Beijing declared that products from US chipmaker Micron posed a national security risk and imposed a partial ban in China. The Snowden leaks put many international relations on edge, resulting in various accusations of spying and other related disputes between governments. But the relationship that may have been most affected is that of China and the US. On June 12, 2013, in an exclusive interview, Snowden told the South China Morning Post that the US had been hacking Hong Kong and mainland China for years. The leak came just days after President Xi Jinping met then US President Barack Obama in California, where Xi proposed developing a new, closer type of major power relations. But the Snowden incident immediately soured the relationship. Since then, both sides have grown further apart, fueled by political and economic rivalry, including in the areas of technology and cybersecurity. After initially finding himself stranded at Moscow airport for 6 weeks, Snowden was granted temporary asylum in Russia in 2013 and gained Russian citizenship along with his family in 2022. The Snowden saga has failed to deter subsequent leaks of government agency documents and private data leaks in the decade since.
Surveillance has always been there, okay? Right from Second World War, it's always been there. Snowden's leak is nothing new. Even the United Nations Office of Human Rights Commissioner recognizes that surveillance has been there. So when Snowden revealed all that, let me say that I wasn't surprised. Only thing is, of course, from the 50s, 1950s to now, of course, the surveillance has changed. It's become very easy for states, for big data companies to do surveillance.
Subsequent cases since the Snowden leaks underscore the trend. In 2017, WikiLeaks revealed what it codenamed Fault 7, detailing the US Central Intelligence Agency's hacking tools and capabilities. The following year, it emerged that the political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica had used millions of Facebook users' personal data in the election campaign of former US President Donald Trump in 2016. SolarWinds was a massive cyber espionage campaign in 2020 by Russian hackers, targeting US government agencies and private companies including Microsoft, Cisco, and FireEye. The most prominent recent US intelligence disclosure took place in April 2023, when the Discord Pentagon leaks sent the US Department of Defense into full damage control. Among other things, it contained private conversations between senior South Korean officials about Ukraine, suggesting Washington had spied on a key Asian ally. Edward Snowden became a celebrated whistleblower to his admirers, but his detractors saw him as a traitor. Either way, the high-profile case greatly raised public awareness about digital privacy. This has led to many policy changes in the US and internationally to help safeguard digital privacy. Yet, continuing leaks revealing government and business misconduct highlight a system whose reach still appears unlimited with weak safeguards.
The Office of the High Commissioner for the United Nations has come out with all these resolutions. But let's face it, how many governments are following it? Okay, US and UK, they're supposed to be the highly developed countries. What about nations like Malaysia, Indonesia, China for that matter? Okay, how are we that the surveillance they're doing is lawful, legal, done in a particular boundary without exceeding the powers? So for me, that is something that we don't know.
In the aftermath of the Snowden leaks, some countries have banned bulk digital data collection and fined major tech firms for failing to protect user data. But many jurisdictions have yet to enact laws that would create a more open, accountable, and transparent digital environment.